Look at how they massacred my boy. In all seriousness though, before anybody has the wrong idea, listen, this movie was an epic that tugged at my heartstrings quite a bit. We'll get to that in a bit, but let me just say that as a Marvel fan, before coming into this, I was really looking forward to Will Poulter as Adam Warlock. I think we all were. In fact, that was the main selling point and for me, and what drew me into this movie. Not only because, it's supposedly the final hurrah for the Guardians of the Galaxy, but also because in all big superhero movies, a good hero has an even better villain. I'm not saying that Will Poulter was terrible, he was terrific. In fact, he made quite an entrance where I was like, you know what? Well, when he entered for the first time, I was like, hey, win for a good one. Unfortunately, though, this movie really didn't make him shine. In fact, if he wasn't in this movie, it really wouldn't have mattered or changed anything or been such a big deal at all. And I don't think that's right for a character of his caliber. Before coming into this one, I did read upon a little bit of his character's backstory, or story I guess, and I just feel like this movie didn't really do his character the justice that it should have deserved. Instead, Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3 focuses on a different threat, a threat from the past, and dives head-on into a certain Guardian's backstory where we learn about their pain and sufferings, as Peter Quill and his team must defend the universe once again while trying to stay alive in the process. Wow, it's crazy to think that this is the first Guardians of the Galaxy movie in 6 years. Damn. Man, this one feels like it was long overdue. But then again, we did have Infinity War and Endgame, so there's that. But I mean, I always thought of the Guardians of the Galaxy movies to be some of the best movies Marvel Studios has produced. They've always been fun, had great stories, and tugged at your heartstrings quite a bit, and this new one is no different. Before I came into this one, I was like, this is going to be emotional one way or another. Was it emotional? Yes, definitely. But not in the way I thought it would be. It ended up being emotional in someone's backstory rather than the downfall of a certain character or characters. But after watching this movie in its entirety, I'm actually kind of satisfied with that as the final hurrah for these characters. Going on a mission, trying to save their friend. This movie really shows how much of a family these characters have become and just, how close they have become over all of these years. It's more of I'd say, a bittersweet movie rather than just a flat out sad one like I was expecting coming into it. Because this movie still keeps its charm from the previous movies with its silly dialogue, badass music, and exhilarating action sequences. Sure, certain things work out too well, and these movies are more silly than serious, but that's in the Guardians of the Galaxy DNA. Though with that being said, it still does get serious and emotional at certain points, but I mean, that's what the Guardians of the Galaxy are known for as well. I think I shed at least a tear, or maybe even a few, in all of the Guardians of the Galaxy movies, and man, to say I did that in a superhero movie, wow. But then again, that's the best thing about these movies. If you do that, you know that you're a true fan and that you are really immersed into this world. I mean, but being on this epic journey with these characters for a while, which started just shy of a decade from now, being with them for this long, seeing the development throughout a lot of movies and shows definitely makes you feel a lot more for them. So overall, I had a decent time with this one. But like I mentioned in the beginning, what I feel now is that the focus was way too much on this one particular thing and almost kind of droned on and on about it and fully neglected something else. Like, this movie felt like it did drag on a bit on a certain subject matter that I won't go on about because I don't want to spoil the movie, and I just kept I kept feeling somebody was missing. And then when that person popped in the frame finally, I was like, oh yeah, we're missing that guy. Adam Warlock in this movie felt like a shadow, an invisible man, somebody who just flat out felt neglected. I think he was in like, what, 4 to 5 or maybe 6 scenes in this entire movie or something like that. Oh man, I like what happened to him overall, but he just felt like a character that was added in just to sell the movie. Adam Warlock was like that favorite chip, that you like in a pack of variety chips, right? But in that pack, there's only a few of that type of chip and not enough of it. And I get how this movie wasn't about him, right? It wasn't, right? It wasn't really about him, but he was the big billing, the big signing, right? The thing that drew a lot of us into, being hyped for this movie. I was definitely hyped for him. I mean, I even read a lot about his lore and found out a lot of crazy stuff about him in the comics. So I definitely felt like this MCU version of him is just a shell of what he is in the comics. And for the people who don't know him, I'm new to this character, never really read about him in the comics, doesn't really know anything about him, right? This movie doesn't really make a mark on his character either for those people. I even told my friend, like, after this movie, what I thought about Adam Warlock, and as soon as he heard his name, he was like to me, "Who was that guy again?" Like, he didn't even remember what he was called. And I know MCU, and comics, they do differ, right? But even then, I still don't feel like they did himself enough justice in this movie. Man, he just felt like he felt more of like a silly anti-hero or whatever, rather than this very powerful mastermind killing machine that I kind of expected him to be coming into this one. Whenever he would appear on screen though, loved it. But sadly, there just wasn't enough of that. Ultimately, I felt that the third Guardians of the Galaxy movie was a satisfying final hurrah for these heroes. It had the same charm as its predecessors and was emotionally satisfying for the most part. The only main gripe I had with this movie was that they didn't use Adam Warlock as much as I felt like they should have. Oh man, if they figured out a way to make Adam Warlock as important as the Guardians in this movie, by giving him a bigger role, highlighted more of his backstory and showed that he had a big and exciting future ahead of him still to come, then I'd be very happy. But instead, unless they redeem his character by making him have a bigger role in a future movie, then for the most part, he'll just feel like wasted potential and just a wasted character in general. I'm going to give Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3 a B. Guys, thank you so much for watching. Let me know what you think down below. Like and sub if you enjoyed, and as always, feel free to check out any of my previous videos. Until next time.